Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start a housekeeping video for anybody that's here. Give me 1 second. Sit tight, and we're going to get started shortly. Okay. All right. We're going to get started shortly. Here's a housekeeping video just for you guys who are here.
Now for some housekeeping. Be sure you're comfortable and ready to watch the presentation. That means wear headphones if possible.
Take any bathroom breaks if you need them.
Make sure you don't have any distractions or interruptions.
Please keep in mind that we are recording this virtual classroom session so that others who couldn't make it can watch at a later time.
Any links, documents, or resources mentioned in this virtual classroom will be made available to you.
We will be answering any questions at designated spots throughout the presentation.
Now here's what you can expect. When you first log on, you will see a page that looks similar to this. On the left, the presentation or speakers, and on the right, the chat box.
We will have designated spots throughout the presentation to ask questions. That said, we would love to see you interact on the chat. If you have any questions or comments during the presentation, enter them in the chat box here.
We will go through and answer your questions during the designated question times throughout this presentation.
Note, the default settings are to send to everybody and to be in chat mode. If you need to send a message to administration, presenters, for example, you can't hear the speakers, you'll need to change your chat box setting to send to admin only and type your message, then send it. Only the admin and presenters will see your message.
Oh, and in this virtual classroom, we are doing something special. At the end of the presentation, we will be selecting a few of you to be on camera, live with everyone. You'll be either asking a speaker a question or sharing what you like best about the presentation.
If you would like to be on camera, you will need to request to speak. To do that, go to the top left corner of the chat box and click on the hand icon where it says Request to Speak. If you change your mind, you can always cancel the request.
If you're chosen, you'll be taken to a page like this. Be sure to go through the checklist so you can log on and connect your video and audio. Click Continue and start the test. If you can see your video and hear your audio, click Yes, and you are now ready to enter the virtual classroom.
When you enter the room, be sure your camera is on and your audio is muted. When it's your turn to speak, you can turn your audio back on. When you're done, you will be put back in as a regular attendee.
That's it. You're now ready for the presentation. Sit tight and we will be getting started shortly.
Hi, Ms. Fig. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hello,
Good.
everyone.
We have 23 people here right now that I can see, so that's great. I'm glad you guys were able to log in.
Yes, there were some difficulties. I'm glad you made it through. Awesome. All right. So, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us live for this special San Andreas High School virtual classroom series. Experts in the industry. Before we get started, I want to do a quick hello to everyone. So if you would please say hi in the chat. Please say hello so that I know you're there. Oh goodness, I see Gustavo and David and Kijan. Yay, Jose, we made it in. That's awesome. You guys made it in. Good job. Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Mia. So good to see you. Good morning, Mrs. Paschek. Are you still there, Cheryl?
Yes, I am. Thank you guys for coming. If this is your first time joining us, this virtual classroom series is part of the Business of Science and Technology Career Academy at San Andreas High School. So the aim of this is to connect students to industry experts and professionals and provide accessibility even more so during these challenging times. The goal of the series is to give you a look into different jobs and careers you may not know about and creatively tie them into the classes that you guys are learning.
That's right. I also want to mention we have handouts for you to take notes and follow along. Now, before we dive into it, we want to go through some intros and housekeeping. If you came a bit early, this may be a refresher.
That's right. So I'm going to play the housekeeping video a little for you guys again. If you were waiting, like Ms. Fig said, that this will be a refresher.
Now for some housekeeping. Be sure you're comfortable and ready to watch the presentation. That means wear headphones if possible.
Take any bathroom breaks if you need them.
Make sure you don't have any distractions or interruptions.
Please keep in mind that we are recording this virtual classroom session so that others who couldn't make it can watch at a later time.
Any links, documents, or resources mentioned in this virtual classroom will be made available to you.
We will be answering any questions at designated spots throughout the presentation.
Now here's what you can expect. When you first log on, you will see a page that looks similar to this. On the left, the presentation or speakers, and on the right, the chat box.
We will have designated spots throughout the presentation to ask questions. That said, we would love to see you interact on the chat. If you have any questions or comments during the presentation, enter them in the chat box here.
We will go through and answer your questions during the designated question times throughout this presentation.
Note, the default settings are to send to everybody and to be in chat mode. If you need to send a message to administration, presenters, for example, you can't hear the speakers, you'll need to change your chat box setting to send to admin only and type your message, then send it. Only the admin and presenters will see your message.
Oh, and in this virtual classroom, we are doing something special. At the end of this presentation, we will be selecting a few of you to be on camera, live with everyone. You'll be either asking a speaker a question or sharing what you like best about the presentation.
If you would like to be on camera, you will need to request to speak. To do that, go to the top left corner of the chat box and click on the hand icon where it says request to speak. If you change your mind, you can always cancel the request.
If you're chosen, you'll be taken to a page like this. Be sure to go through the checklist so you can log on and connect your video and audio. Click continue and start the test. If you can see your video and hear your audio, click yes, and you are now ready to enter the virtual classroom.
When you enter the room, be sure your camera is on and your audio is muted. When it's your turn to speak, you can turn your audio back on. When you're done, you will be put back in as a regular attendee.
That's it. You're now ready for the presentation. Sit tight and we will be getting started shortly.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you see me?
No, we can't see you.
We can see your picture.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let me try refreshing the page.
Awesome. All right. This is our speaker, Adam Iqueda. I'm going to go ahead and play a video bio for you to introduce our special presenter today. So give me 1 second. Here we go.
Today on Experts in the Industry, we are interviewing a man who knows about public safety.
Adam Iqueda consults on TV shows such as the hit television show Grey's Anatomy to train and make sure the cast is performing medical procedures correctly.
That's right. His job is to make it look as real as possible. He works at Warner Brothers Studios on the show All Rise as their COVID testing contact tracing coordinator to ensure that the cast members and crew remain safe and healthy during the pandemic.
He is also a member of the Screen Actors Guild.
Adam has also served as a professor at El Camino and Solano College. While at El Camino, he spearheaded the development of their public safety career pathway.
He is a graduate of our school district's very own San Bernardino High School.
That's right, class of 2003.
He has an associate's degree in fire technology and an emergency medical technician or EMT course from East Los Angeles College, a bachelor's degree in emergency medical care from Loma Linda University, and a graduate degree from Gould School of Law at the University of Southern California. Right on. Adam is also Crafton Hills College 62nd Fire Academy graduate.
When it comes to disaster and emergency response, Adam has an extensive education and training. Although the list is long, it is important to talk about today. He is a certified CPR instructor, first responder for awareness operations hazardous materials, and first responder operations weapons of mass destruction. He's also had training in understanding and planning for school bombing incidents, prevention and response to suicide bombing incidents, incident response to terrorist bombing from New Mexico Tech Energetic Materials Research and Testing Center, and weapons of mass destruction radiological and nuclear awareness. He has trained the trainer from Counterterrorism Operations Support in conjunction with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And finally, Adam is a member of the InfraGard Los Angeles and the National Association of Emergency Medical Service Educators.
Awesome. Now, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background on the All Rise TV show that he's currently working on. So I'm going to play that trailer for you really quick.
It's not too late for you to back out.
There's a constitution to protect, and I can't do that from the DA's office.
You're LA's newest Superior Court judge.
Rule number 1, avoid trials. Get some plea deals and live to fight another day.
And where does justice fit in?
Close second. Suit up.
All rise.
State of California versus Daphne Rivas, residential burglary.
I didn't do it. Does your client understand what she's about to plead to?
We discussed.
I'd like to hear it from her. Did you do what you're accused of?
No, but no one would listen.
We're going to trial. This little trial can destroy more than one career.
I need to make a difference, but up on that bench, everything is different. What if that was your daughter?
That girl's freedom
Is at stake. Her voice matters. It's important. Boom.
We can all do way more than we think we can.
All Rise premieres Monday, only CBS.
Awesome.
Thank you, Adam. We're so excited to have you here today.
Absolutely exciting to be here. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can everyone put their name in the chat and say hello to Adam for us?
Yeah, let's see who's in here.
Hi, Ruben.
Welcome. What's going on, Chris? Hey, Chris. Good to see you in there. What's going on, David? Glad you're here. Gustavo, wonderful. Hello, Vargas Jimenez, Barbara, Serenity. Let's see who else is here. What's up, Serena? Sean, Walker. Hey, Leslie, what's going on? Hernandez, Tivy, I see you. Jesus B. Hello, hello. Sanchez, Mancia. Wow, there's a lot of you. Awesome. I hope we could all have some good takeaways. What's up, Douglas? So while y'all are doing that, why don't we go ahead and get started?
Awesome. I have your studio tour video if you want to start with that, Adam.
Yeah, for sure. So while Cheryl's playing this, in short, I'm currently at Warner Brothers Studio. So right now I'm in one of my offices, and I'm in another meeting too, but don't tell them that. They don't. And what we're doing is essentially discussing different protocols for how we're going to be using the CD guidelines for testing people to ensure they're safe. And yesterday, what I was doing was going around and just taking pictures of Warner Brothers, and it's essentially been converted into a bunch of mini labs. And what you see there is one of our labs that I'm running, where we have a star trailer. Typically, these trailers you see are the trailers that the actors would hang out in before they go into the set inside of the stage and start acting, and they start filming. So they actually go inside of these star wagons. So if you look behind this area, it's like a big old parking lot, and all those star wagons behind our trailer are actually the main actors, and we call them the cast for All Rise. So, and this is happening throughout the whole studio, which means like the whole property of Warner Brothers here in Burbank, California. And by the way, if you all have questions, feel free to ask throughout the whole little presentation here.
I'm playing the video, Adam. Are you able to see it?
No, I can't see it on my end.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. Let's see. Right now, it looks like it's the courtroom. I can pause this and try to restart it. Give me 1 second.
No, you go ahead. Let them all watch it.
Okay. So yeah, you look like you're walking through the courtroom.
Yep. So that's one of our stages. We currently film on stage 9. Which is close to the Ellen show. That's one of the most popular ones out there, next to Lucifer as well. Shameless, I know those guys and girls are all around us there. And then we're also on stage 30, where I just showed you, or to explain the testing trailer, like how we have this whole trailer set up as a lab.
Right now it's showing the offices inside, and you're looking up at the lights.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. You know, the whole idea of Hollywood, you know, if you look at it from one angle, kind of where the cameras are, it looks so real. But once you turn the other way or look up, you realize right away that it's all fake. We make all of that, and we have different departments that could create practically anything that is asked for the camera, from something as simple as a pencil, a gold pencil, whatever we want, all the way up to a house. They could build homes for us if we want to, in a matter of a couple days. It's pretty amazing how quickly these people move, and how much money is in Hollywood and entertainment.
Right now you're walking through, it looks like you're going through where you enter the courtroom, and you're almost heading out, is what it looks like on the video.
Yeah, so same thing, different areas. And what's fun about this is it's really just a giant stage, which is just a big open space, and with rafters for people to walk up on top, set electricity, all kinds of stuff. And what they have are just a bunch of faux walls, fake walls, where you just go around and it's a whole new place. It could be outside. It could look like downtown Los Angeles. and then you turn a corner and go into another room, and then it's one of the main characters' offices in the show. So they really try to utilize as much space as they can. And typically all of that work is done in what's called pre-production. So before we actually start filming, before the actors get there. So we have a lot of construction, labor, and paint going on, is what we call it.
And then right now it looks like you're going, it's the second video you had sent me, and you're out and about. Maybe if you turn off your camera for a second, you're able to see what everyone else is seeing, so you can kind of walk us through what we're looking at.
Okay.
So I'm gonna play that. You look like you're about to go under a bridge.
Oh yeah, so that's the bridge building. That's where a lot of the executives hang out, sit around. That's their offices. That area has actually been converted into a testing center as well. So we call it Bridge South, and it's the southern building on the property. And Bridge North. And what they do are essentially deal with all of the executives testing. So they have a special team in there doing that as well. And what we're really trying to separate pods is what we call it. Different people from different departments. We don't want them to really intermingle, be in that physical space with each other. So a lot of things are being done remotely around here. Even drop-offs, like we'll just have the package deliverers drop something off, leave, and then we'll go out and get it. So it's really quite an interesting process of what's going on here.
Are you able to see what everyone's looking at?
No, but as you explain it, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're right after you go off that bridge, you kind of pan to the left to look at a building. I'm not sure what that is, so I paused the video there.
Okay, I can't recall on that, but I know there should be some buildings coming up that some people might recognize.
Okay, you're about to turn right, and now you're looking at your stations, your 3 stations. It looks like they're testing stations.
Right, exactly.
For all rides.
There we're doing our PCR test and also our rapid test. So PCR is a big old scientific name, but essentially what that means is it's a nasal swab. So they swab the inside of your nostril, and then they send it off to a lab, and usually the results come back to you in about 72 hours. This is actually interesting because there's such a high demand. In fact, the meeting that I'm listening to kind of up there, they're explaining how Warner Brothers alone have done 70,000 COVID tests in the last 4 months that we've been up and running. And this is just in the United States. We're not talking about Canada, UK, South America, any other places that were on site. So we're doing a lot of these things. We're also doing rapid tests, which are kind of what it says. Rapid, you take the test and you rapidly get your results. So typically it's about 15 to 20 minutes. The thing about that is there's such a shortage on those test kits. The other thing is that the CDC today just put out a new guideline, actually yesterday, a new guideline that discusses what close contact is, and the concept of 6 feet within 6 feet for a cumulative 15 minutes or more over a 24-hour period. So we really have to distance from each other. And as you can imagine, that's very hard when we're trying to film people on camera.
So Adam,
you're past. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask the video is.
Often?
You're at stage 10 on the video. I can pause it.
Stage 10. So what's fun about that are the different stages that I'm showing y'all are really each stage has a plaque outside of it. I don't know if y'all saw that in the video yet, but what they highlight are some of the featured films. So some of the most famous films that have been recorded inside of that stage. And also below that on that plaque are some of the television shows that have been filmed there. And just to give you a couple ideas of what shows have been filmed here in movies, one of the most popular, I think, that a lot of people ask about is Friends. So Friends, Central Perk, they actually created a whole set for people to go on when they do their studio tours. Movies, oh my goodness, all the Batmans for the most part. The new Space Jam was just finished a few months ago. Casablanca, very famous movie. Lots of famous films have been shot here.
Adam, I was just curious, how often do you get tested and how often do actors get tested?
Ooh, very good question. So we get tested 3 times a week, and so do the actors. And the reason why are because all of these rules are really in place to protect the actors, believe it or not, because they're the ones that don't wear masks in close proximity to anybody because they're filming in that moment. So they also get tested 3 times a week. And it's called a testing cadence is what we call it. And it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes we could move those around because actors, they don't work traditional Monday through Friday jobs. They work certain days that we ask them to. So we have to, for instance, if they work Monday, Thursday, Friday, then we'll test them those 3 days. But it has to be a cadence because it's also considered surveillance tracing. So we're trying to capture positive results so we could remove those positive patients from our cast and crew.
Awesome. I didn't want to cut the tour short. Is it over, Cheryl?
No. I just paused it really quick so that way you could ask your question. It's coming up on the fire department, Adam. So let me fast forward it really quick to that section.
Y'all there?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm fast forwarding it to the fire department.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I could see the fire department there. So what's interesting about this is later on in the video, if you haven't seen it already, there's a fire department there. And we also have a water tower, which is the famous WB water tower that was actually built for the fire department back in the day. And they respond to any type of emergency that we have there. In addition to our nurses station, we actually have a first aid office. And these are all positions that I'm convinced some of you all are going to work in. We have firefighters, which are typically EMTs as well. They also could be paramedics. And we also have the nursing station, the first aid office, where we have medical assistants, CNAs, certified nursing assistants, LVNs, licensed vocational nurses, RNs, registered nurses. Sometimes we even have NPs, nurse practitioners. You know, all of these are very related fields, and I often like to talk about them because, you know, they're kind of like stepping stone careers in healthcare where you could become a EMT, for instance, and then you could move on to become a paramedic. And it's actually a prerequisite, meaning that you have to become an EMT before you become a paramedic. It's one of those things you must do. And what's cool about that too is those programs are fairly short and you could make a fairly decent living and be happy with what you do. A lot of the classes to get into those programs are actually the same classes like anatomy, physiology. They're actually the same classes needed for nursing school, needed for respiratory therapy school, needed for physician assistant school, all these healthcare programs. So it's kind of like you're doing things to open multiple doors. You're going to have a lot of options.
Adam, are you seeing what they're seeing? This is the Warner Brothers tower that he's panning up on right now, guys.
No, I don't see it, but I definitely know what you're talking about there.
And then you're going through the paper store. It looks like you're coming up on the theater, parking garage. I see, it looks like some films or movies and TV shows have been filmed here.
Yeah. So it's
like a little downtown.
Oh yeah, so that's called the back lot. So that's actually, that is all fake. So we essentially could turn the buildings in different colors, the shops, make them different, take off the glass, make it brick. And that's where we film actually a lot of movies, shows film on the back lot, and just change the appearance of it. It's pretty fun back there too.
Looks like a little courthouse that you're coming up on in the front.
Yeah, that courthouse is famous for Batman. Batman runs up those courthouse steps in quite a few different versions of that series. What is it? Rosewood High School is right across the street from there. Gilmore Girls is all filmed in that little plaza area. Full House and Fuller House are filmed here as well. You'll see that home in a little bit.
Yep, I just saw the home, and I see the little court. You're coming up on that courtyard with the gazebo for Gilmore Girls. That looks familiar to me.
Yeah, so that's all. It's all used for filming. They really take advantage of every part of the filming environment there. In fact, the homes. This is fun. The homes on the front of the house looks like a home. If you go to the back part of it, it's actually looks like another home because they try to maximize the space to film.
Now you're coming up on stage 30.
Yeah, and that's like my home presently, with the amount of time we're spending there, donning and doffing PPE, ensuring we have proper compliance with all that to protect ourselves. So when I say PPE, personal protective equipment, it's kind of the same as BSI, right? Body substance isolation. And what we're really talking about are gloves. So ensuring that we have gloves on, and not just any type of gloves, because gloves could be made out of all sorts of things, like latex, for instance.
Do you want me to do the poll really quick, Adam?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So right now there's a poll on your guys' screen. It says, which one of these is not part of PPE or BSI? So do you guys want to take a guess on what that would be? You've got gloves, mask, gown, and hairnet. So which one of these is not part of PPE or BSI? We can't see you, Adam.
I know I'm trying to turn it on, but I don't think it's going back on.
Aww. So right now it's like 7% or 6% saying gloves, 21% are saying gown, and 71% right now, 72% are saying hairnet.
Ooh.
I see people still trying to enter. I'm going to give you guys 5 more seconds.
Yeah, so while you all are doing that, the gloves, we have to be mindful that the gloves aren't latex because some people are allergic to latex. So we use a different type, which is Vicryl, typically, nitrile. Those are the 2 types we'll use. Masks as well. We have to be very mindful of the different types of masks that could protect us. So you all might have heard of these N95s. Those are like the medical grade masks, to say it in simple terms. There's such a shortage of those. So what we had to do was essentially get the government to sign off on something called the KN95s, which is like the, I guess for lack of better terms, again, it's like the Asian version of that medical grade mask, because that's where we have to get a lot of our supplies now. And then gowns, believe it or not, 23% of us, we actually do wear gowns. And typically the gowns are to protect us from any type of droplet precaution. So anything like blood, someone sneezing, someone coughing. Whereas the hairnet, although that could be true, that's more, we usually have like full head covers or full head covers, and that's more like at the surgery level. So the answer here would actually be hairnet. So good job, 79% of you.
I have someone here who wants to ask a question.
Oh, for sure.
Hi, my name is Raymond, and I was gonna ask, like, how many more often do superstars and the staff need to check in before going in to set?
Good question, Raymond. So we actually have a check.
I'm gonna.
I think we lost
Adam.
Oh.
You okay, Adam?
I think he froze. So for those of you that have joined us late, we just watched a studio tour, Warner Brothers studio tour, and Adam, I'm sure, will join us right back. He keeps getting cut off and then coming back in. But he is a COVID testing coordinator at Warner Brothers Studio. I think he's back in. Let's see. But I do want to encourage your questions. If you want to put some questions in the chat, we'd like to ask Adam some questions. So please put some questions in the chat.
So where's my friend Raymond, who is asking the question about check-in? So yes, essentially we do have a check-in area, and we also have something called pass card. So pass card is like 5 questions that you're asked on your phone before you even come to work, and they're questions about COVID. So do you have any COVID-like symptoms, like fever, sore throat, loss of taste, loss of smell? We also ask, have you been around anybody who tested positive for COVID in the last 14 days? So there's about 5 questions like that. And if you answer all your questions appropriately, meaning you don't have any concerns evolving around COVID, then your screen will turn green. And then you show that to security at the gate. You have to have your mask on, you have to have your credentials, and then you could come through the gate. And our production team, we actually do that twice. We have a lot of safe measures in place. And the second safeguard is our production specifically. We have a check-in station that you may have seen it outside of stage 30 with the 3 testing trailers there. And every one of our cast and crew has to come up and show that to our staff, and we'll check them off one more time, and we'll actually remind them whether they're getting a test that day or when they're getting their next test and what kind of test it is.
I've seen a few questions here. What does BSI stand for again?
Ooh, body substance isolation. Good question. Not to be confused with PPE, personal protective equipment. And remember, that's the gloves, the masks, face shields, all the things we wear to protect us.
And then there's another question here. While you answer that question, do music stars do their music videos there?
That's a good question. I don't think they really do. There's actually different sound studios, recording studios, more aimed towards that. But it's funny you asked that. New York Film Academy or Art Academy, it's actually right next door to Warner Brothers. So a lot of music majors there. It's funny because they always come to the gate and they'll wait for executives to drive out to like try to wave them down to get a job or something. They're very common.
And then another question, how often do stunt doubles get injured? I don't know if you have an answer for that.
Not too often. So we have stunt coordinators as well. I just had so on the band, we actually this is an insider, don't say anything, but we just filmed a episode, and you probably won't see it for a couple months, but we had Hawaiian theme is what I'll say. And we had a band that I had to ensure were tested. We had luau dancers that we had to ensure were cleared. So that'll be a part of a scene that you may see down the road. So they did perform here, but it wasn't necessarily for that recording purpose. And then what was the other question there, Cheryl, that you were asking?
I saw where they filmed Norbit. I guess that's not a question. I think that's all the questions right now.
I have a question. Adam, could you tell us, how did you get started in the healthcare field?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. So I am a proud graduate of San Bernardino High School, San Bernardino Unified School District, just down the street from where most of y'all are probably. And I remember when I was growing up, I didn't really have clear direction. I wrestled in high school. That was kind of my outlet. I was very involved in my school, my extracurriculars there. And my wrestling coach was a firefighter for the city of San Bernardino. and they had something called the Fire Explorer program where youth could go out and visit the fire station weekly and essentially learn the ropes there. And so that's what kind of spearheaded my interest in public safety fire service initially. And I was about 15 years old. And shortly after graduating from high school, I went to get my degree in fire technology, started enjoying what that brought. And then I learned about the medical side. And once I learned about the medical side, I really started falling in love. And as I progressed in my career as an educator, then I found out that emergency medicine is really taught across the board in fire, in EMS, emergency medical services, and even in the peace officer side. So our police officers, they actually go through like a crash course in EMT when they go through their post academy. So yeah, that's kind of my quick background on how I got interested in this.
So Adam, we teach intro. We have a health pathway at San Andreas, and we teach intro to healthcare and careers and emergency medical actually emergency first responder. And so I just wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for any of our students, seniors that are graduating and that would like to go into the health career field?
Absolutely. I encourage you all to consider an EMT program. It's really going to teach you a lot. It's typically a 6-month program. You get a professional license after you finish your course and you pass the National Registry Emergency Medical Technician exam, and that will give you the ability to work almost anywhere in the United States. But what it also does is gets you out in the field right next to the firefighters, right next to the police officers, right next to the nurses in about 6 months. And you are immediately learning patient skills, which is a very key element of this field. How do you talk to your patients? How do you get the questions answered? Because all those questions are puzzle pieces. And the more puzzle pieces you have, the better you could see the whole picture and treat your patient, is how I think of it. So EMT, believe it or not, and I mentioned this earlier, it's actually a prerequisite to become a paramedic. And nowadays, if you want to become a firefighter, you really want to look into becoming a paramedic, which is advanced life support versus basic life support. Like EMRs, emergency medical responders, emergency medical technicians, those are basic life support providers. Paramedics and above are typically your advanced life support providers. And also, I want to mention this, if you're thinking about nursing school, on most applications, and I'll add this to the instructors, the educators here, I helped develop out our public safety pathways at El Camino College. So I'd be more than happy to break down the certificate of achievements and how the funding is funneled and all that as well. How the students walk away with very good takeaway career industry certificates. But most nursing programs actually give points on the application process if you've been a CNA, MA, LVN, EMT for over 6 months, something like that, a certain amount of hours, because they understand that you're an asset to the program. When you come in, you're going to be able to funnel through patient care medications a lot faster. So yeah, that would be my advice, is look into those type of programs. Consider a community college because it is typically cheaper. Only take that class. And once you're done with that, prerequisites, but I typically like the anatomy and physiology. Those are good classes to take.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh, for sure. And did I see David someone here? Yeah. What's going on, David?
Hey, so I want to like to ask a question to you. Oh, like something tricky. What is the hardest moment you have to go through when you're working on shows we got to see?
Good question. So I think presently having to deal with, that's what's interesting. I think that's what drives a lot of us towards emergency medicine, right? Is that it's so, hi, is that mom back there? Who's that? So I think it drives us towards emergency medicine, and even the entertainment industry. It's very fast paced. There's constant hurdles just thrown at you, and it really causes you to adapt and overcome, which is a big part of our emergency medicine too, is you have to figure it out on the fly. And I think that's what I really enjoy about this. It's also challenging, but it's really enjoyable when you solve those problems, when you save that patient's life. You know, those are the big takeaways. I hope that answers your question.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Thanks,
go for
David.
it. Why do you like making the shows?
Why do I like making the show?
Yeah.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to be part of something that's so new. We jokingly say here that this is my first pandemic, so I don't know what to do, because none of us have ever gone through something like this. So the ability to be the first team of people to try to get one of the most lucrative industries up and running again has really been something. We are in a lot of meetings with professionals from around the world. We were just in a meeting with the CDC, with the main doctor for Mount Sinai, who's our consulting physician for the show. And then we're on the line with all the executives for Warner Brothers across the world and a bunch of teams from across the world. So being able to collaborate with these people on best practices and bad practices is really important, and it's really fun to essentially get these little pieces of information that are helpful and use them and share what didn't work for us in hopes that our colleagues don't fall victim to that, because sometimes that could cost a lot of money. I'll just say this little sidebar. A couple shows have had to shut down because of whatever reason, and just in a couple days that they weren't able to film, they lost well over $2 million worth of monies just in 2 days. So that's just a little glimmer of how much money is being funneled into Hollywood just for people's viewing satisfaction, right?
Oh, thank you.
Jose was also asking, do they have to wear a mask every week to go outside? Right, Jose?
Very good question. Yeah, so Jose, check this out. A mask is required at all times unless you're in your personal space, eating or drinking, and even the eating and drinking has to be somewhere specific. In addition, the nursing staff who are actually doing the nasal swabs, they have to have 2 masks on.
Yeah.
So there's quite a process. They actually have to have full PPE on as well, which is a face shield, gloves, a gown. That's required for them.
David, did you have another question?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. David, did you have another question? While we're waiting for David to, I think he's frozen. Ms. Shannon is asking, do they also have to do this at Universal Studios?
Yes, this is industry-wide. So anyone that's trying to film right now, pursuant to union rules like the Screen Actors Guild, the Directors Guild of America, the Writers Guild of America, and all the other unions in entertainment, they all got together over the last year or so and have been coming up with best practices. What would it look like if we did start filming again? And one of the overwhelming things was, well, it has to look consistent. So what Universal Studios does and what Disney does and what Warner Brothers does should be the same, because a lot of the people are going to work at multiple sites. So if we had all these specific rules, it would really hinder employment and filming a lot. So yeah, a lot of places are doing this.
I just wanted to ask, what did you do before COVID?
So I currently teach at El Camino College in Torrance, California. I teach fire and EMS classes. I also teach at Solano Community College up in Vacaville, Fairfield area in Northern California. I also teach EMS classes up there. And I work on the set of Grey's Anatomy as a medical consultant, and I've been doing that for about 15 years now, intermittently. So those are my three gigs that have essentially carried me for quite some time. And I still do those, but now it's obviously an online platform. This is where I'm physically at, is Warner Brothers, Monday through Saturday, sometimes really. And the hours are long. I'm talking about, I think last week I clocked 88 hours. The week before that, it was like 76. I mean, we're talking about 15-hour days sometimes.
Awesome. Anybody else? I have three. Here we go. There's Ruben. Go ahead.
What's up, Ruben?
Oops. Can you do your audio one more time, Ruben? I accidentally muted you.
Sorry.
There you go.
Hello, my name is Ruben. I come from San Andreas High School, and I am 12th grader. And my question is, how many people are not sick, and it's hard for you to work there? It's a challenge, but how many people are not sick, and some do? That's my question.
Yeah. So how many people are sick and not, and all that? We have on my production, there's approximately 350 cast and crew. So cast are like actors, crew are like the people that work behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Almost every production here, like Shameless, Lucifer, The Rookie, all these different shows have about the same amount of people, and that's just at this lot, Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, we're filming in Roswell, New Mexico. We're filming in Florida, New York, Paris, UK, Canada, South America, all over the place. So based on all of the tests that we've done over the last, I think it was 4 months, we've done approximately 70,000 tests, and we've captured approximately 300 positive tests in all of that time, and none of them were. It is a lot, but in comparison to how many we're doing, we're actually capturing them before they even come to work, which is our goal, because we don't want them to intermingle with us. We need to get them out, and we need to either isolate them, which is a huge word right now, so isolation, or we need to quarantine them. And that's where they have to essentially be by themselves for a while and socially distance, literally by themselves. So,
okay.
Thank you, Ruben.
And I have one question.
Yeah.
It's like a virus. Some said you can open. Why the Hollywood or your place is open, and they say you cannot get more people. Why yours is open?
I guess the real answer is because there's a lot of money involved here, and they could essentially pay their way to start business again, start shooting again, because they would make more money in the long run. That's the real answer.
Huh. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next.
Go for it.
Your audio.
Do you get like all the other directors, like the director is cartoon, like the movie Life at the stunt, right? Why do you guys need to use the cars?
You're gonna have to ask.
The new.
When do the movie actors have to use the cars? Is that what you're asking?
Oh yeah.
Like Michael Bay, he used the car to make sure the movie is right. So why do you guys use the cars?
How do you use cars to make the movies? Did I understand you?
Yeah, so cars are used in quite a different ways. So sometimes we could use cars with the actors inside so it looks like they're driving, but it's really on a trailer. It's never even moving because that would be a little too dangerous and there's rules involved there. Other times, believe it or not, the cars that are being driven in the background, they're called transportation. That's actually the department, but they're the transportation drivers. They're not actors or anything. They're just the ones that have the licenses to drive the vehicles. There's other types of cars that have giant camera systems built on them that follow the vehicles as well. There's cranes. I mean, it's not so much a car, but cranes where we could actually lift it way up in the sky and shoot from an aerial view. So cars are used in quite a different ways. And in fact, you ask a good question about cars. We have a lot of locations around the Burbank area where we could rent almost any type of car you could think of. Jay Leno, I'm sure you've heard of that guy. He has a garage here of hundreds of cars, and I know his are rented very often. And like I said, any kind of car you could think of, they could get it here. And if not, they'll probably make it. Like the Batmobile, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Michael Bay wants to transform his car to look awesome. So you guys make the car before you guys make the buy the car, do you guys make it look awesome?
So ask one more time, friend. What was that?
Charles?
I said Michael Bay wants to transform his car look so awesome, right? So why do you want this car to look awesome and make it more amazing?
Well, some of the cars, like I think you said Transformers, right? Like how the cars could turn into all kinds of awesome robots. That's more used. They use computers to make that happen on the screen. So it's not so much real vehicles. They may use the actual car that's real, but the rest of it, when it opens and transforms, that's actually a lot of computer animation going on behind the scenes.
Awesome. Thank you. Who's next?
Hello. I think you'll have to unmute yourself
Audio.
there.
Unmute. We can't hear you. There you go.
What age you have to be in a program? What age?
What age?
Yes.
To start acting and working in the entertainment industry?
Yes.
Oh, good question. So really, from the day you're born, I know that sounds silly, but think of some of the movies, some of the shows that you've watched where there's babies inside of the show, right? They're on the show. Those are actually actors, those kids, and they actually get paid, believe it or not. And that money has to go into a separate account because their parents or guardians have to be responsible for it. And when they get a certain age, then they could use it. But you could really be any age. And if you think all the way down to the other side, there's actors, actresses that are older, right? So this is a field of entertainment, at least, where you could be any age. Very good question. You could even be an animal, right? We've seen animals on shows before.
Yeah.
So there's in fact, one of our shows is Animal Kingdom, and it's filmed on something called The Ranch. It's another studio, but it's just like 2 miles up from here, and we have a bunch of animals over there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Good question.
I have a question. I just wanted one last question, and that was, as a healthcare worker, can you tell us about one of your most rewarding experiences?
Oh yeah, for sure. So delivering a baby, that's for sure. But I think the one that was really meaningful to me was Oh man, I'll never forget. I'm even getting the chills right now. So there was this guy who came in to the trauma center that I was working at in downtown LA, Los Angeles, and he was what we call a full arrest. So no pulse, no breathing, his heart stopped. He was technically dead. And they were doing CPR on him, right? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And when the fire department brought them in, we transferred him over to our bed and I started doing CPR on him. And the girlfriend was there, he was there, she was out of her mind with what was happening. But the beautiful thing about that was that we saved his life. We saved his life that night. In fact, he came back about a year and a half later, and the girlfriend cried when I came through the door. And I didn't know why, but she said, "You were the one that did CPR on my husband. I don't know if you remember me, but you saved his life." And I remember in that moment looking at her and looking at him, and there was just a real connection there. He went on to have heart problems because of what he experienced, and he was a frequent visitor of the hospital, unfortunately. And I remember as they progressed and he had a baby, and I thought that was the most beautiful thing. And after that, I could only communicate with him when he was there as a patient, so I really didn't have any follow-up. But the idea that I actually got to witness a person that helped save, it wasn't just me, it was a team of people, but someone that we actually saved that was able to move on and live a life of happiness to the point where he had a daughter. I think that was a very beautiful, touching moment in my career that I'll always carry with me.
Oh, Birdie, I think you're muted.
I said thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. There's a couple more questions. I don't know how much time you have left, Adam. We have Jarek Vargas. Is it difficult to find a job as an EMT after finishing college? If so, how long does it take? Oh. Here we go.
Can y'all hear me there?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Jarek Vargas was asking if it's difficult to find a job as an EMT after finishing college, and if so, how long does it take?
Not at all, my friend, especially in California. California is essentially, there's so many people here, right? And there's hospitals popping up on every corner like Starbucks nowadays. Even, I always tell my students this, even if technology caught up to all these health problems, there's still people that are always going to do things to give us a job security. So there's bulletins all the time. In fact, there's bonuses a lot for EMTs to get hired. Like, we'll give you a $1,000 check if you stay with the company for 6 months. And the other cool thing, just to kind of add to your question, is you could essentially make your own schedule because we're in such high demand typically, and our field is only growing. And I say that because I remember when I was a college student starting off, I was working, the first classes that I took were my fire sciences, my fire technology. And then I was like, oh, you have to be an EMT? Okay, I guess I'll have to take it. And that's when I took the emergency medical technician course. And that's where I realized, wow, I could work at any of these companies I apply for, as long as they interview well and you get the job. But I was able to work on Saturday and Sundays. I worked 48-hour shifts straight, and I would go in Saturday morning, and I would get off Monday morning, and then I would essentially go to school Monday through Friday. And while I was in the box, we call it the box, the ambulance. While we're in the ambulance, we're studying, right? And we're studying what we're going to learn and do for the rest of our lives anyways. So it was a good way to constantly be involved with my studies.
Who's on the chat? Can you turn on your video and your audio so you can ask your question? Do you need help? Chat. There you go.
Hello, friend.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Crow, I don't think we heard you. Say it one more time. Oh, your audio. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh.
There you go.
How many years did I have to stay on a TV show?
Oh boy, that varies. It's different for every show. So I'll give you an example. We call the cast like the main actors. They're the main ones you see in the show on a regular basis. And then we have stand-ins. So when we're practicing filming, like what it's going to look like, we actually use stand-ins, people that look like them, to kind of just be there. And they're part of that. And then we also have what are called background actors. So all the people you see walking through the streets, behind in the emergency room, the patients, the family, the people that aren't really talking, right? But they're back there in the film. They're also actors. So every day, based on the scenes that we're shooting, it's going to be different. For instance, yesterday happened to be a relaxing day because we didn't have any background because we were only filming certain types of scenes. The day before that, we had about 60 background. So, and that's a lot of people to process and get through the system. And then we have our stunt people, who I think we were talking about earlier, where I know, for instance, we're going to be filming a rock climbing scene in the next couple days. So we actually have a professional rock team coming in from Colorado, and we actually have a stunt coordinator who's been in the industry for a long time. His name's Spike. A lot of people know him.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good question.
Now, I'm looking at a couple more questions here. It says, what is a challenge that is frequently encountered that people usually overcome? This is from Christina Topete Velasquez.
Christina, yeah, good question. So here in this entertainment world, we jokingly say that we're firefighters because we just keep running around putting out all these small fires that keep popping up because there's so many obstacles that keep piling up. So I guess I'll just give you one, is what I touched on earlier, is the CDC. They actually said they pushed out this new rule yesterday, and at the same time we got word that the rapid kits, the tests that we predominantly do, are in very short supply worldwide, and Warner Brothers was the second purchaser of that in the world, just behind the government. And now that the supply chain is decreasing, we're essentially going to have meetings to discuss how we could move forward, find another vendor, pay regulatory fees to the CDC to have a workaround. So yeah, very interesting. I hope that answers your question.
Oh. David, go ahead.
Hey, so I'm back. I wanted to ask another question. So I also like making my own movies. I've been doing it since 2009, when I made my YouTube channel. What I do is make some movies that has like toys. But I filmed them to create like a big story. So, and I want to ask, is it possible for me to get hired to make movies?
Absolutely, but there's quite a bit of prerequisites, is what we call it, right? So typically there's schooling, and a big component of your question is the union. So have you ever heard of indie films? Indie films are like more lower budget. Sometimes you're not using like actors that are really well known that are in the Screen Actors Guild, which is a union. So that's where you would probably have a chance to start off in that kind of world. But as you progress and you start working on like DGA certified, like Directors Guild certified films, you have to be hired as a union member. And in order to become a union member, you have to essentially pay your dues. You have to work a bunch of times have a credit behind your name. And then once you do that, you could go to the guild, the union that you want to be a part of, whether it's the directors, the writers, the actors. And that's where you have to pay fees. And then you could technically work for a Screen Actors Guild signatory feature. So these are the big ones that you see on television. So it's really a stepping stone process, just like healthcare, right? Stepping stone. Good question.
Thank you, David.
Awesome answer. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I see we have one more question in the chat. What shows have you worked on? I think you mentioned a couple while you had your presentation.
What was that? I heard one more question in the chat.
Yeah, what shows have you worked on? That was one of the questions.
Oh boy. So shows, Grey's Anatomy for sure. That's my claim to fame. All Rise, America's Got Talent, a few Adam Sandler movies. Oh boy. A lot of commercials. I can't even tell you the commercials. The Wrigley's Juicy Fruit, I remember that one. That was a funny one. They filmed, I'll just say, they filmed it next to a little stream, like a little creek, and we had to have a ranger, a park ranger there to monitor the rise and everything. And he kept telling them, hey, this is going to get, the water's going to come down fast. And he kept putting these little markers down. And the directors and everything, they're like, yeah. And all their equipment was there, like all the camera, all the expensive stuff. And sure enough, what happens? Whoosh, big old gush of water took out all of their equipment. And so everyone's trying to pull it out of the water. And the rangers just standing there watching all of us pulling it out. But anyhow, yeah, there's been quite a few. Mainly, I've mainly been on Grey's. That's the one that I've been on consistently throughout the years.
And that goes well with your medical background as well. And your
Absolutely. This position as well, very healthcare related and a lot of legal reading of contracts. I mean, look, let's see if I could do this. Show you my desk with all my paperwork that I have to go over right now. All the things I have to try to look through. So.
And I'm sure your law school has helped with that as well.
Oh, absolutely. USC, fight on for any fans in here.
And then someone's asking if you've seen LeBron on set filming Space Jam 2.
Actually, yeah. He was. They were here. Not just him, like a whole bunch of them were here. They weren't filming, but they were picking up like memorabilia stuff that they wanted, I guess, for the show. So word got around, and of course we wanted to go see the stars, right?
Awesome. Ms. Fig, do you have any other questions? I think we've answered most of them on the chat.
No, but I do want to thank you because you've given us a wonderful view, not only into Hollywood, but and lots of wonderful information about healthcare. We greatly appreciate. Thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Of you.
I'm seeing if you guys can say. So Adam can see in the chat a quick thank you for his time. That would be great. I see a lot of San Bernardino High School students on here as well. And then someone graduated from 2019 from San Bernardino High School.
Yeah, I got you beat. I'm 2003. So maybe you have cousins or friends that probably graduated with me. And you're welcome.
So Gianna's saying thank you. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. And if you all have more questions, you could reach out to Cheryl and she could get me the questions or any comments, and I'll be happy to, get back to you. Yeah, and you're welcome. You're welcome, Daniel. Yeah, you're welcome for sharing my career. It's a pleasure. I hope you pursue something. 1996, awesome. It's a pleasure to have you all here. You're welcome, Jade. Sean, you're welcome.
We have to do this again, Adam, if you have a time. I know Miss Vic has other class periods that would have loved to attend, but they're in a different class period, first period, I believe, right? And also has afternoon classes. So
yeah, absolutely. We could plan something. Is there any math involved to be an EMT? Ooh, good question. That sounds like you don't really like math. That's an Adam question. I would totally ask something like that. So not so much at the EMT level, but at the paramedic level, yes, because that's when you're actually drawing up medications. At the EMT level, you're typically dealing with pre-filled syringes. So it's like a one dose and that's it. You can't really mess it up. Can't really. So not too much. When it comes into the advanced life support paramedic nursing, yes, and I'll even add this. There's a lot of conversion factors from pounds to kilograms, because that's typically how medications are given in kilograms. So yeah, if that's not your strong point, don't worry about it. We have a lot of ways to, like, cheat sheets, right? And we teach the easiest way to learn this stuff, because we're not trying to make it more complicated than it needs to be, especially when you have to do math in the back of an ambulance to give a medication because someone needs it or they're going to die. That's huge. And then we have the idea of pediatric patients. So pediatric patients are smaller, and typically decimal points are very important. So there's a saying, decimal points kill, because if you're off by a decimal point, you could give potentially 10 times the drug that the patient needs, and that's very scary. So I commonly get the question, like, what's the scariest thing for you in the field? It's like missing the decimal point.
Wow, awesome. So that concludes the presentation today. I know we went a little bit over, but wanted to say thank you, Adam, again for being here. We really appreciate it. I know you have to go. If anyone else is around, please put in the chat what you really liked about the presentation, or if there's something that you wish we could have covered and weren't able to cover, I can get those questions or comments over to Adam, so that way he can answer them, and hopefully I can present it to your teacher so they can reply for him that way. But it's been great to see everyone.
This has been an awesome opportunity, and I thank Adam again, and thank you, Cheryl. This is amazing. Thank you, students and teachers, for tuning in.
Awesome. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Till next time. Thanks, Adam.
Did they all go? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There's about 28 people still in here, but
okay,
they said
cool.
They loved it. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you all learned something. I hope there were takeaways. And like I said, if you all have more questions, feel free to write to Cheryl, maybe even your teachers, and then they could get them over to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I'll write you back.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. Thanks so much for your time. I know you're busy. Crazy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now I'm going to jump into the fire pit. Need to go to
all
work.
Right. Have a good day.
Take care. Peace, everyone. Lovely talking.